Welcome to the Breakfast Leadership Show, where we interview global thought leaders on business, leadership, and life. Here's your host, keynote speaker, best-selling author, and chief burnout officer of the Breakfast Leadership Network, Michael Levitt.
Welcome back. I've got Eva Vennari online. Eva, how are you?
Fabulous. So glad to be here. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you here. And we talked in the pre-show that, we've probably indirectly met in person at least once, if not twice over the years. And we've got more connections than we thought we did. So always good to have like-minded people on the show. So why don't you share a little bit about you and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Yeah, I'm known as a true holistic healer, and that truly means the word holistic. Been around for many, many years and have found that leaders need the most support. So that's who I'm here to serve.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, because, breakfast leadership, a leader is kind of in the name. So it's something that's really important to me. And when you have strong leadership, then organizations are strong, which means their people are taken care of and they do great things and society benefits from all of it. So, what have you seen? And obviously you've been doing this for a bit now. What have you seen maybe over the last few years that has been maybe amplified? And I don't maybe not necessarily new, but amplified in some of the challenges that leadership is facing. And especially, as we talked about again in the pre-show, probably should have record from the beginning. I always do that. We always have the good stuff in the pre-show, but not that this stuff isn't good, but there's some nuggets in there. They're like, oh, wow, that would have been good to talk about. We completely forget. But anywho, what are some things that you've noticed over the last few years that seems to be a much bigger problem than maybe it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago?
Oh, I remember prior to COVID, and isn't that the marker of time now that leaders are and everyday leaders, we're talking about middle management all the way up to C-suite level and entrepreneurship. We are experiencing a rate of burnout in a way unprecedented. There was a year ago, it was Forbes magazine put out an article saying 60% of the workforce, and that includes leaders, of course, are burnt out, but the numbers of recent studies is much higher. And the result isn't always a vacation or a nap or taking that supplement that's meant to help. But, the tasks get further and further behind and the stack of to-dos get higher and higher as we ignore the signs and symptoms and realize, oh my gosh, our energy has depleted so much and we don't know necessarily what to do about it. So that's been the biggest culprit.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I've been doing work in the burnout space for, quite a long time. And yeah, the pandemic definitely poured some gasoline on the fire. I was mistaken. I thought actually that during the pandemic that, okay, everyone's going to do kind of take a moment. And they're going to go, all right, what is work for me? What does that look like? How do I want it to be? And I know a lot of people did, but most of us didn't. And we're seeing cycles, especially now in 2025, with the economic situation, depending on your industry. There's a lot of things that rhyme with the Great Recession as far as cutbacks with staff and then organizations that still have people around. Well, congratulations, you didn't lose your job. That's great. But now you have to do the job of your colleague that did on top of your job as well, which you were already overwhelmed with. So enjoy that. And here's your pizza lunch. Tell you how good you are. But it's just taking a toll on people. And a lot of times, there's a lot of finger pointing, of course, between, the employees and employers. And I'm one of those people of the finger pointing is not going to change anything. We need to, literally kind of flush all of this out and go, what does work look like for us as an organization? What does it look like for our team? How can we set them up for success? And I think a lot of managers and leaders forget that. It's like you want your team to be successful, so you should set them up in a way that gives them the best chance for them to be successful, because if they're successful, so is the company, so are you as a leader. But I think a lot of times in leadership, we just kind of silo ourselves off, and we think it's us, even though we've got, 10 or dozens or hundreds of people working for us. We still isolate ourselves and say, no, this is how we're going to do it, and not take into account, the skills and the individuals you have on your team.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that is not having the energy to be strategic. And when our energy depletes, and I do mean the physical energy we feel. Do we feel like taking a nap? Do we feel like we have the energy to work out? Do we feel like we have the energy to spend time with our friends after work? And when that energy depletes, so does your healing ability to deplete. And your cushion, your mental and emotional space starts to narrow. And we go from, I used to know how to manage people, to, I'm just going to do it myself. And this I've noticed patterns in myself. I worked in corporate for 25 years before I did this, and then it overlapped, and I realized I'm burning myself out. And then once I reversed it the way that I did, I got rid of 30 different chronic illnesses, some that were recognized with the Western medicine diagnoses, and others are just, symptoms like fatigue and anxiety and insomnia. Some of those can be surely diagnosed, but the idea is they build up. They build up over time. Oh, I'll deal with that tomorrow, or I'll take this pill for right now. I'll take a sleeping pill. I'll take a energy pill. And next thing you know, we're Elvis taking a pill for every little thing, including energy drinks, and those have skyrocketed. The number of little tips and promised results on the internet and on our commercials saying, take this pill or take this drink or do this, and you'll feel happy. You'll feel better. And it's temporary. So this is a cycle that just ends up in a compensated body where we lose the ability to focus. We lose the ability to connect with our inner guidance. Our intuition just goes down. If you can't sleep, you can't rejuvenate, you can't. The list goes on and on. So yeah, it wasn't until I cleared those symptoms and diagnoses for myself that I realized I need to help others do this, because I may not be a type A, but I'm also not a wallflower to my dreams and goals and desires. There's things that I want to do and achieve, and I know there are others out there who also want to, but they feel suppressed by their own energy, and that's what I want to solve.
Yeah, all of the supplements and additives and band-aid approaches, and yeah, I'll take this med to help me. And yeah, and I worked in primary care for a long time, and I saw people coming in. I saw them in the waiting room, and they were hoping to get the latest prescription for whatever to quote unquote make them feel better,
Right.
but they're not addressing why they don't feel well in the first place. They're like, just make this go away, instead of, well, why is this here in the first place? And that's a question that most of society, unfortunately, they don't ask. Hence, we see it in the bazillion dollars in sales and all of the different things that we see out there. We know, and I know a lot of people in the insurance industry, and since mental health is something that is kind of talked about a little bit more, the claims for people taking mental health leave or, seeing, therapy and all of that has, gone up quite a bit. Now, I'm a big advocate for people to, seek therapy for things they're struggling with. But much like going to see the doctor, don't expect them to give you, well, here's a prescription for this, you will feel better. That that prescription, and I've said this on my show before, I have been, diagnosed with clinical depression in my life, and was given a medication that I took for about a year, and that was it. Because, I talked with my doctor, and I'm like, I don't want to take it. And we went back and forth on it, and like, okay, let's make a deal. Tell me what the max dose is. Okay, what's the lowest? Okay, half a pill's the lowest, and max, I forget how many milligrams it was. I'm like, let's go maybe a pill and a half. So instead of like basically be the equivalent, I would take like 3 pills if they wanted to give me the max dose. Let's start there, and then just slowly wean myself off. But with that, it was, I need to do the work now, because it did give me a basically a leveling. And again, I'm not telling people to go get medicated. I'm not, even though I worked in primary care for a long time, I'm not a fan of medication either at all.
Right.
I just don't, because it's robbing your body the natural ability to do what it's designed to do, which your body, these are dynamic things, you know. I know, even though I barely passed science class, I know these are very, and I've said this so many times, and I keep forgetting to do this. I got to look up and see if Mr. Burrell is still alive, because I am certain the only reason I passed that class is he did not want to see me the next year. That's the only reason. So I thank him. I took that C. I ran with it. All my grades were like A's and B's. I did good. And all of a sudden, on my report card, here's the C. And of course, your parents are like, "What's wrong with this C?" I'm like,
Yeah.
that C is like honor roll for me. Okay. I'm running with it. We're not talking about this ever again. And that was that. But when medication, unfortunately, a lot of times it masks the situation. But for me, I talking with my healthcare provider, I said, all right, I'm going to do this, but I'm also going to do the work on addressing why dealing with these depressing thoughts and situations. Let's start working on those. And I did. So then, weaned myself off of it with, guidance, and, haven't been there since. And rarely do I have depressive thought, much less, a bout of it. So because I did the work and I know what the signs are and things like that. And so many people, when you mask yourself with sleeping pills or energy drinks or all these other things, you lose the ability to feel you. You're not feeling you. You're feeling this ulterior version or alternative version of yourself. And
That's complete.
I don't like that feeling for me. I can't stand it. I'm like, if I have an ache or something, I'm like, okay, what caused the ache? Instead of, oh, I have an ache. Okay, yeah, I recognize I have an ache. Okay, what did I do? Did I sleep wrong on it? Did I hit something? Am I inflamed? Did I eat something that causes me inflammation? Which, again, our food choices, there's a ton of things in there that causes all kinds of inflammation, which will cause aches and pains and everything else. You know, Tums is a billion-dollar industry in itself, but I love.
Well,
I,
yes, exactly. Well, you're hitting on so many parts of it, and I want to get underneath it all, because that's the work, isn't it? Is getting underneath it and solving it from the two-pronged approach. Take the medication if you feel you need to, but the other is the why. Why is this happening? And so many stop at going to therapy. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Now they've got a prescription on the market that says if your current depression medication does not work, add this to it. Hope that it does. I don't know. Fad, trend, prescription medication plus hope equals hot mess, in my opinion. That's healer's math. So when I look at what's going on in the body, I can see minerally what is causing that inflammation, as opposed to maybe it's just too much stress in my life. What is stress? And for me, I have an actual medical reason for it. And it's the relationships of the minerals inside the body. So you mentioned depression. Depression, oftentimes in a person who is chronically, like I was for many years, undiagnosed until I was in my early 20s, but lived with it all through my teens from puberty. Well, what happens in puberty? Your hormones shift. Hormone shift means your mineral content is also what's causing the shift. So if you're not getting the right nutrients in your foods, if you're not getting the right exercise, if you're not getting the right, you know, foods in your body with the minerals, then your body doesn't have the raw nutrients it needs. And just taking a hormone therapy supplement is not going to do it. We have to shift things. And so that's the work. When it comes to the foundation of the body, did you know that an overstimulated body from copper toxicity can cause anxiety, insomnia, depression, fibromyalgia, and infertility? All of those things, it can suppress your immune system. So it's not always just the world around you. And I say this with a jokingness. It's not because your husband knows about your boyfriend. That's called drama, right? It's something else. Stress has to do with what's going on inside the body. How many toxic metals do you have stored in your body? How many nutrients do you have that are underutilized, like that copper? How many things do you have going on that's hardening your emotional state that no amount of prescription medications or therapy will help? But all together, all together. That's the holistic part, is we're looking at the physical body, the emotional state. Do we have the strategies to overcome the triggering? And do we have the spiritual side or the metaphysical side taken care of? And that's part that is often overlooked. We realize we have a spiritual body, much like a car has a windshield. Guess what? When we're out in service working in the world, that gets dirty. We got to take that metaphysical car, the metaphorical one in this case, to the car wash. And that's the other part that I do. So it sounds like I do a lot of different things. And yes, I do. But they all work together. And that's what it means to be true holistic healing.
Yeah, it's important work, and
Yeah.
the energy side of things of it too is critically important, and spirituality and understanding. We're not going to dive into everybody's Akashic records here, but but I do recommend people do that if they can. It's pretty neat. Maybe we'll have another episode on that, or all kinds of different things, because there's reasons why we are who we are. And yes, there's some external circumstances, but not so much. And it's eye-opening for sure. But it's, again, the holistic approach to things, understanding that we are, yes, one being, but one being that is made of so many complex things. And if I would have, passed science class, I'd be able to explain it a little bit better. But
Well,
I get
one of
it.
us did. Yeah.
Thankfully you did, because otherwise this would be like just a couple people just yapping about stuff, and like, say, yeah, those California people, they don't know what they're talking. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Shut up. Yes, we do. What? Yeah, we're not living in cold, snowy winter, are we? No, of course not. But, be all serious. It's, again, I find, and I know you see this all the time too. How many people are just blissfully unaware. I know I've said that before, but they're blissfully unaware of who they are.
Oh, biggest problem ever. Biggest problem
Yeah.
ever. You got to start with know thyself.
Yeah, and I'm, in my 50s now, and it's like I'm still figuring it out, but I know a lot more about me than I ever have before, but I still don't know enough. But I'm curious. I'm like, okay, why is that? I started asking myself why a lot more. And I'm like, okay, well, why is this bugging me? And why do I feel tense in this situation? Or what's going on here? And, many times it's just could be a memory or something. Could be as simple as a scent could trigger something, or just a thought, or somebody said something that can get you like, And other times that, as we've said, with, the air we breathe, the foods we consume, the information we get, there's all different things that play a part in how we are day to day. And I think the more in tune that we can be with ourselves, then the more we can recognize a situation. It's like, okay, that does not feel ideal for me for this moment. So I'm going to do some grounding exercises, or I'm going to just pause for a moment, or I'm going to go outside. I'm going to take my shoes off and I'm going to walk in the grass, just, get close to nature as I possibly can. Or who knows? Everybody does things differently, but ultimately it's when you catch that, all of a sudden you start becoming more in tune with what you are and who you are, to the point where a lot of the things and anxiety and challenges and all the things we're hearing about, and you see it in people's faces when you go to the grocery store or anywhere else, just seems like a lot of people are having a real tough go of it. But you, for some reason, aren't. Why? Because you are in tune with you, and you go, I'm, not to make it sound silly, but you're basically saying, nobody's got time for that. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to participate in that. And a lot of people go, what do you mean you're not going to participate in it? I'm just not.
Yeah.
And it's simple as that. And they're like, well, how do you do that? Okay, well, let's have you chat with Eva. She's going to tell you all about how to do that and more. But I think that's, again, for me, this is where the empathy part of me comes in. I feel horrible for people that are going through all the challenges that they're going through. And not that I'm not going through anything. Let's call it life. You go through things. But for me, it's like, sometimes we can see it a little more clearly that they can't, but I don't want to preach to them and say, well, just do this and this, because I don't know all their situation, but I can at least point them in a direction of things that they can, consider, and ultimately it's them to make the choice. But so when you encounter somebody that's having we'll call it a rough go of it, a leader or just people that's a leader in their own life necessarily, what are some of if there are, some common things that you see, or maybe what are some quick wins that they can start off with that can kind of get them on the momentum of basically taking better care of themselves, both, holistically, spiritually, emotionally, you name it.
Yeah. The first place to look is just like if you're cleaning out a closet, take it all out. Slow down a minute. Slow down. Like you said, it's the grounding, it's the breathing, it's the am I in my body? Most people, their spiritual consciousness ends at about here, and it should be all the way down to your feet. And so there are some daily practices, but you got to find the one that resonates with you first. So I'll walk through. Let's do an intake. Let's see what's going on, what's bothering you the most. Let's slow down and take stock. Take an interest, see where your energy drains are, plug the drains and heal whatever's going on. But that takes having second set of eyes. If you could do all this on your own, you would have by now. We're smart people, so intelligent. Whether you pass science or not does not matter. Like if you have a business, if you've reached a level of success in your life, you're smart, you got it. But when it comes to, and I shouldn't use the word but, and when it comes to your health, we all need a little bit of support, even me. And I think the compassion you brought up is so, so vital to come at it from a not subconscious, but just that little inner voice that says, this person's going through something. Who am I to get in the way of it? This is their chance for spiritual and personal growth and expansion. So the next time you decide to not speak your truth to someone because you're wanting to save their feelings, adjust it to speak with tact and allow for them to go through their own learning system. They need that. We all need that. And that is compassionate. It's not the negative tough love that we all Gen Xers grew up with. This is the more. This is how we expand. And you can't clean a closet going full circle without taking inventory and without looking at how can I make better use of the space that I have. And in expanding that space, that's possible on a spiritual level. We don't want to just expand the body, we end up fat. But the idea is we want our spiritual body to be, let's call it fat. We want it to be larger. We want to have more space to play, more space to manifest, more space to bring in that larger part of us that is unseen, that has never died, so it can it's never been born, so it can never die. I messed that up. My dyslexia is fun. You should join me sometime. So all of this is part of us, and it's not going to be uphill. It's not going to be a quick fix. You've spent your life getting to this place. It will not be over in 2 weeks, a weekend, or a flush or a cleanse. It's going to take a year or two to overcome. And you need a guide through that. So start with interest, start with curiosity, start with taking a full inventory of everything you have going on and do that with a guide.
Yeah, it's helpful to have somebody there alongside that has gone through this, obviously themselves, but also with others that can kind of keep you. We'll use the bumper bowling analogy, keep the ball, in the lane, and, you're going to go off into the gutter. No, let's bounce you back a little bit to keep you on the path. But, a huge fan of curiosity. It's for me, especially as time has gone on, I wish I would have retained that curiosity when I was younger. It's back again. I'm thankful for that. I didn't lose it. It was in the junk drawer. Like, oh, here it is. I was looking for it. So yeah, definitely empty your junk drawers in your closets, kids. It's definitely worthwhile, and in a variety of different reasons. You might see that shirt that you love, you forgot you had, or you see a shirt that you bought 3 years ago that would fit now and fits now, but you look at it like, why in the world did I buy that? Well, donate it. Give someone that's going to be someone's favorite shirt ever. So donate it, and as long as it's in good shape. If it's not, then dress it accordingly. But ultimately, go through life with this curiosity of how do I be the best version of me today and tomorrow? What can I do today? Even if it's just something really simple, you start. It becomes a pattern and a habit and part of your daily routine or ritual. And when you start doing that, the next thing you know, you start feeling a little bit better and you go, you know what? I had that cup of coffee, but I don't really want to finish it. You go from, shotgunning maybe 6 or 7 cups a day down to, a cup, maybe even a half a cup. Like, it's not tasting right today. I'm like, I don't need it. I'm good. And all of a sudden, then your body is like, yeah, you don't need that. You're finding, the harmony within yourself. Obviously, when working and letting your body do what it's supposed to do, and instead of basically putting on the parking brake and not letting it, which is unfortunately what we're all too good at doing.
I often use car analogies, and I love that one. The idea of taking bioidentical hormones for men and women. Men like to take testosterone, women need it also. But hypothyroidism, as an example, a lot of people take some sort of, prescription bioidentical hormone. Car analogy, that's like taking your car that's out of gas. And instead of going to the gas station and filling up the tank, getting behind it and pushing it from destination to destination. What are we doing? So get to the bottom of it. You put minerals in the body knows what to do with it. It is designed perfectly, as you've implied several times already. I have such a respect for the human body and the healing, I call it the healing cascades, that we can ignite with simple, everyday solutions. And when we're ready for more, because the little things that you do are going to give you that curiosity and says, I wonder what else I can do. There's more. There's always more. Trust me. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you want to get from feeling, bad to I feel pretty good, and then you go, I want to feel great.
yeah.
How do I feel great? And your body is designed for you to feel great. So, Eva, I love this conversation. Where can people find out more about you and all this awesome work you're doing?
Best place to go is on the interwebs to my website at www.theelevateinstitute.com. And there you're going to find some ways to highly consumable, all kinds of fun things there, including an essential energy quotient test I came up with that gives you kind of like a FICO score for your ability to heal. So you'll find all of that there.
I hope everybody scores high. If they don't, well, you know who to call. So, Eva, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate you, and always good to talk with you.
So glad to be here.
Hey,
Thank
it's
you.
Michael. Are you a founder, solopreneur, or small business owner drowning in decisions, stress, and sleepless nights? I get it. Entrepreneurial overwhelm is real. From income instability to creative burnout and the isolation no one talks about, it's more than just hustle fatigue. That's why I created Entrepreneurial Overwhelm, a book and a community to help you breathe again. Go to entrepreneurialhelp.com to grab your copy and join a like-minded tribe that gets it. That's entrepreneurialhelp.com. You don't have to build a...
Thanks for listening to the Breakfast Leadership Show, part of the Breakfast Leadership Network. Visit breakfastleadership.com for tips on empowering your business and your life.